Food has always been a, if you'll excuse the shitty pun, tasty topic in Fallout. Many instances have occurred of people doing what they need to survive, and stooping low in what they will consider to eat. We've also seen a few instances of some enterprising individuals taking advantage of this, and turning a tidy profit. Today is not any different. We are here to look at Longneck Lukowski's Cannery, an old cannery located near Salem, at the northeastern portion of the map. There isn't really anything of note outside, so in we go. When we first arrive, the owner, Theodore Collins, will be arguing with a trader by the name of Riley. She accuses his meat product of making people sick, and he tells her some mole rats contaminated it. Doesn't seem too bad. The room itself is dotted with various pieces of maritime paraphernalia, making a small museum of sorts, most of it probably left over from before the war. We are then left to discover what is wrong with this mystery meat. The first room has a dead rat stag in it, clearly meant as part of the meat dish. Now I am sure you're thinking, there's no way it's all rat stag. Well, you'd be right. In the next room we get a look at the factory floor, and from the handies we encounter and the machinery, it's clear it was still, to some degree at least, operational. At least before we arrived. The conveyor belt itself tells us a story of sorts. It's all the different things that were added into the meat. It's odd that he says the mole rats were the ones that contaminated the meat, then leaves them out in plain view. Perhaps he meant some irradiated ones. Parts of the factory are not in good shape, and have collapsed. We must take more creative routes to get around them. The large cylinders at the back seem to serve as storage for his potted meat, or at least this one does. The amount of empty carts suggests a shortage, and as we will see, this is the case. The one next to this has a side panel knocked out, or destroyed, and this allows us to poke around the back. We find some evidence that shoddy attempts were made to repair it, though I don't see why. And further around the back, we find our first corpse. Splendid. We find this chap here, on a makeshift mattress made of pillows, with a first aid kit and chem cooler. He may have been injured, hence the kit. But then we see the psycho. Now he was either taking it for the pain or just to get high, but it's clear that he was hiding out here. From the way everything's laid out, he probably died from radiation exposure when the bombs hit. There is a chance somebody else could have killed him, but we don't know. Up the stairs to the next level, we come to the buttons that open up those pipes, suggesting even more that they were for storage, if they were usually closed, or for another purpose. We then go another floor up, and come to the part of the assembly line that I assume was once still in operation. The arm over here probably transported fish onto the conveyor belt, fish that were probably brought up from boats accessible through those doors. I assume he just lowered the pallet into the water, got lucky, raised it up, and it had some fish, as there is no boat to bring them in now. Well, it's not entirely true, but it's out the back and it's wrecked, so I'm assuming he didn't use that. We shall check out the elevator over there soon, but first we need to take the conveyor belt over to the other walkway. Entering this platform over here, we will find a sleeping bag, where I assume Theodore Collins kept when he wasn't busy making dodgy meat. In the next room, we find the barter bobblehead and an issue of Junkytown Jerky Vendor on the desk, which I already took. So yeah. In the corner are the remains of Theodore Collins. As you can see, I took his leg. Now I had very good reason to do so, and by the end of this episode you will understand why. But spoiler alert, he's a cunt. Back on the other side, we can take the elevator down. Now when we first descend, Theodore traps us down here like the chode he is, and the rest of the tale unfolds. We can find a working terminal here which tells us some of the story of this place. So there are 4 logs. The first is called Still Works. He was checking to see if the terminal still works, then goes on to say he sorted the robots. The Cannery retorts, the large pipes in the factory floor are broken, but this factory was in fact built on the ruins of another older one, so he's going to try salvage some parts. So he plans to get the factory back up and running again. The next one is on the repairs he was carrying out. He finally managed to sort the retorts, but some ghouls broke through on this floor. He had planned to pack some meat he got from a trader, but he didn't get ready in time, and it's spoiled. Then begins the tomfoolery. He makes up the difference with mole rat meat. Not sure what the meat he got in the first place was. He never specifies. The next is about an explosion. He says retort 2 blew a hole in the side. This must be the one we saw that was empty. If so, pretty tame explosion, the hole was kinda small. Unfortunately, it broke part of the wall downstairs, and more ghouls got in, so he set up the fence as protection, and it comes into play soon. The last one is entitled Mole Rats, so he only has the one retort, but it's going well. However, he can't get enough meat from the traders, and he keeps mixing more mole rat. He then begins to ponder how he will keep up the current level of production. Over here is the actual room where he kept the meat. It's booby-trapped, so watch out. Various types of animals and meat are found in here, though I am unsure what was original meat, and what was meant to make up the difference besides the mole rats. Also, there is rat away, as parts of the area down here are irradiated. So this area kept the ghouls in, and we can see the parts of the wall through which they gained entry. Now the fence doesn't look that secure, all things considered, but it appears to have done the job. Down the back is an area with quite a bit of radiation concentrated about this, I don't know, thing? It looks like some of the foundations we found underneath Pickman's gallery, but it could just as easily have another purpose. Through the hole the ghouls came through, we come to a sewer area. Now even when I cleared this place out, one or two were still spawned here when I came back. 'Tis probably just a bug, but just in case, be mindful of that. The splashing about down the back is from our second skeleton, which had a 10mm pistol beside them, until the corpse of the ghoul fucked it all up, and now it's lying slightly further away. Seems they died defending themselves, though from the ghouls or something else is entirely unknown. They could have been trying to hunt fish based on some of the dead ones near them, but that is a bit ridiculous. Down this long brick tunnel, illuminated only by emergency lights, we come to a larger area than the previous one. An area with a lantern in it, still burning. Now of course we don't know how long they burned for, but still I doubt the people who used to be down here left them. That would be ludicrous, that means they would last centuries. Also, watch out for this water. Several ghouls are just chilling about in it when you arrive, waiting for you to get close, only to emerge out of the water and take a chunk out of your arse. We find a couple here, hands still held, together, in death. There is one stim-pack line between them, which suggests they were both injured, but they refused to take it from the other one, so they resolved it by dying together. The lantern beside them is out, so I think Theodore must have lit the one behind us, though we don't know why. No idea what these machines are, but the gasoline suggests that someone made attempts, whether in the past or recently, to refuel them for some reason. The small tunnel at the end of this room leads us to another small room lit by emergency lighting, with some crates and barrels present, possibly the supplies of the people we have seen down here, which begs the question whether the ghouls were also formerly part of that group. We drop down into a flooded water area, and progress around the stairs and down a flooded tunnel, though take off your power armor or you're not going to be able to get up the ledge. A safe, suitcase and duffel bag can be found down here, likely the remains of supplies someone else brought with them, possibly someone lying dead underneath all that rubble, as the body is not out here. The safe is a bit unnecessary. If it didn't have gold, no need to bring it. Now we get to progress through the shittest part of the whole place. These fucking pipes. Now, I don't hate them because they're dark, or even because of the ghouls. I hate them because they're just deep enough in parts to make us walk slowly, which is quite an inconvenience when ghouls are attacking you. The next room is covered in, spooge? Blood? Feces? Fuck if I know. All I know is it glows in the dark, and looks like a shit modern art exhibition. Now, I can't remember having seen this before, but it looks like it may have been used to attract the ghouls to some degree. Now, it could just be glowing ones marking their territory. However, I think it's more likely that Theodore set this up using some fluid found in their blood. We'll get to the how of it later. We find our next body underneath one of those glowing marks. She has a duffel bag, and in the room are more barrels and crates, so more people besides her may have taken shelter here. Beside her is some 10mm ammunition. Now remember, there was another body we found, and it also had a 10mm pistol. So perhaps these two were down here together, either a couple or a family, though it doesn't seem to have ended well. After we leave this room, we turn up inside this large one, a perfect place to get ambushed by asshole ghouls. The stairs at the far end lead us to a man-made walkway, clearly the work of Theodore. The remains of one of his turrets can be found on the left, thanks to my handiwork, most likely to dispatch ghouls. The right leads us to a fusion core, and then to the walkway overlooking the start of all of this. Part of the walkway's been booby-trapped, so be careful of that. And don't think too hard on the possibility of two ghouls attacking at once. and the defense probably would have been easier, you'll just hurt yourself. At the end of the walkway we come to a set of stairs. Some of his gear and some meat is lying about down here. So perhaps he was using this area to store things at one point, though it's odd given the proximity to the ghouls. At the top of the stairs is this sign. Well, fuck you, radiation, I have stuff that can take care of you, so... yeah? Inside the room is oh, for fuck's sake, what the shit, Theodore? So you're probably thinking, it's not what it looks like, right? No, it's exactly as it looks like. Theodore needed something to make up the difference in the meat, and the fucking genius chose ghoul. It appears he killed them, most likely from the walkway with whatever weapons he brought down, and then brought them up here, cutting them up and mashing them, then mixing them in with the food. Okay, now surely there were better alternatives to this. Fuck, even people would be a better alternative to this. At least people aren't irradiated as much. Also, they probably taste better? So this was Longneck Lukowski's Cannery, probably named after some cunt with a neck like a giraffe. It was built on the foundations of an even older factory, which may account for some of what we see downstairs barrels-wise. Theodore managed to get parts of it up and running again. However, he was behind schedule from the start, and a lot of the meat spoiled. He then used mole rat as a partial substitute. What the actual meat was, I am unsure. But dog, radstag and mirelurk were seen in the belt. He canned them and sold them on to traders. Eventually, however, one trader said his meat was making people sick, though he said some mole rats were the cause. He was a lying fucking bastard. From what we saw, some people took shelter below this factory before the war, possibly being the reason so many crates are down there. Some of them died, but I think most of them turned into ghouls, trapped in an irradiated sewer for years. They eventually broke through the walls and Theodore had to set up a cage to stop them. But in them he found his answer. He began to harvest them. I think the marks on the walls may have been his doing, as the same blood was spilt near the chopped up corpse of the glowing one. He did it possibly to lure ghouls deeper in, where he could then pick them off, harvest them, and then add them to the meat, like a dickhead. He made food for people, but when all is said and done, I am sure, given the knowledge of what was in the meat they were eating, most would have chosen to starve. The source of the most mysterious meat in the Commonwealth. I hoped you liked this look at all of it. If you did like it, give the video a like, and if you want regular updates, subscribe. Any suggestions for lore or future videos should be left in the comments below. Better yet, go onto my subreddit so we can discuss them in more detail. It's linked in the description. If you wish to, you can support me on Patreon. I only ask for £1 or $1, no more, no less. If there are any rewards you would like to see on Patreon that I don't have, please get in contact with me and I'll see what I can do. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook to get regular updates or have a wee chat. Any business you wish to discuss, email me at thenthapple.business@gmail.com and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you enjoyed the episode and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, goodbye.